Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low dose naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. Today we're joined by Pamela from the United States, who takes LDN for hEDS and MCAS. Thank you for joining us today, Pamela.
Pleasure.
So could you tell us, how long ago was it when you started noticing symptoms?
Symptoms of the Ehlers-Danlos and the MCAS?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, in childhood. I didn't know what it was then, but as a child, I was sick a lot, and I now looking back think it was probably the MCAS. I was given dose after dose after dose of penicillin, and so much penicillin, like maybe twice a month, because I was always sick. And when I was growing up in the United States, that's what doctors did. That I pooped out on the penicillin, and then they had to give me tetracycline. I had so much tetracycline that I got the stain on my teeth. That's one of the side effects of too much tetracycline. So, and then as an adult, I had what my doctor thought was an infection. It wasn't. And it was given 5 doses of other antibiotics, and I got so sick. It really increased my joint pain, horrible, like I couldn't, migraine headaches, joint pain. I couldn't get out of bed. And I realized, yeah, I need to stop taking antibiotics. So I felt better. And my quote unquote infection didn't go away. And then I found another doctor who told me actually it's not an infection, it's part of aging, and probably maybe had to do with MCAS, who knows? So, and that was maybe 20 years ago that happened. And since then, I don't think I've taken an antibiotic. I've been taking LDN not quite a year. I started last September.
Just let's go back to your childhood. When
Okay.
you said you were super sick, what kind of things were you experiencing?
I was experiencing chronic sore throats mostly, and fevers actually, and just feeling listless. I did, as I got older, like into puberty and stuff, I would get rashes, bumps on my arms that nobody could explain. Um, that kind of thing. But as a child, like I was even hospitalized for 5 days when I was 5 years old, and nobody figured out what was wrong with me. Because I had a fever, I had really bad sore throat, everything was swollen, my glands were swollen, but no diagnosis.
Yeah. So you carried on in childhood with having more and more antibiotics, and you remained just as sick. Did you have any periods of where you felt well?
I did. I had lots of periods where I felt well, but it was like I was the family joke. If we were going to take a vacation, the question is, when is Pamela going to get sick? And when are we going to have to abort the vacation because Pamela's going to get sick? It was not fun.
Yeah. Okay. So what were you like as a teenager?
I did pretty well as a teenager. I did have migraines when I menstruated, really bad migraines. It was every other month it seemed to happen. Terrible to the point where I would vomit, and need blackout. And again, but they've finally put me on birth control that seemed to help a little bit. But other than that, teenage years were very good. I was always very, very hyper flexible. So I danced and took advantage of that, probably too much.
Okay. And then what about in your 20s, 30s?
I always had a lot of neck and shoulder pain, really, really bad. through college. So that would have been 18 to 21. And I remember meeting my husband when I was 26 or 7. We were dating, and he said to me, "You're always grabbing on here. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I didn't even know I was doing it. I had such lumps in my neck, and I was always grabbing on." And he felt them, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's not normal." Um, and then we married, and I had one child, gave birth to one child. And after I was good during pregnancy, I felt my best. I was really afraid to get pregnant because I know people have back pain when they got pregnant. My back pain went away. Except I had horrible edema. So I was supposed to lay down with my feet above my head. Well, that was not easy to do, but I had to do it. And after I gave birth and I was, carrying my son and trying to live my life and take care of the baby, that's when I had a real crash, lots of pain. So my husband said, "You have to go see an orthopedic doctor." So I went to a surgeon. And, he said what sometimes people like us hear, which is, "Oh my God, I yelled at my nurse because I could have sworn that they put the wrong x-rays in your file because your x-rays look like," I was 30. He said, "Your x-rays look like you're 90." And I thought they mixed it up with
Oh,
my other patient. He said, "Your spine's a mess. You have no cartilage in your spine." So I said, "Well, what do we do about it?" He said, "Well, see if you can manage." So I always stayed very fit and tried to keep my muscles strong. And, that had its own issues. But that's how I carried on. And then post menopause was another sort of crash. Actually, perimenopause and menopause were really hard for me. Really hard. I had lots of MCAS symptoms then. I had all kinds of funky rashes and things that hurt on my skin and just awful, awful chronic joint pain. We would call it a severe and chronic and acute flare, for several years. Menopause lasted 10 years for me with hot flashes and stuff.
okay. So could you describe for me a typical day for you before you started LDN?
Um, yes, tremendous pain. And the pain moves around. Usually, it's almost always in my back. It's been I've had severe lower back pain since I was very young. 12 years old was the first time I remember being laid up with back pain at 12.
Mm.
And many times over the years, I've had to just sort of go to bed and not move. Um, so a typical day, it could have been that I could barely move. I was wearing lots of support things. I had straps and garments and trying to hold me together. My ribs slip out, my shoulders sort of they don't do a full dislocation, they sublux. Um, I had uh surgery in my neck. So this went away after I got my C4 through 7 fused. Now that's causing me problems again, but the surgery apparently is having some issues. And I had a hip replacement. I probably need another hip replacement on the other hip. But so it was that. It was, chasing the pain and the instability. Did that answer your question?
Yep. So how did you hear about LDN? Did you find an LDN doctor who could diagnose you?
Well, once I figured out that I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I asked a bunch of rheumatologists and finally found my own rheumatologist, and he tested me, and I found doctor of physical therapy, who also did the testing, and everybody concluded, yes, you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And the that's how I found out about LDN, was because the physical therapist said, you can get a lot of information about the disorder online. There's Facebook groups. So I started going on the Facebook groups for Ehlers-Danlos, and that's really where I heard about LDN, and I started reading about it. And I asked my rheumatologist at the time about LDN. He said, "Oh, yeah, we can try that. I can write that for you." And then I moved, I left the state, and we never did it. And so about 3 years went by, and I have a new set of doctors in the state that I live in now. And those doctors said, that you need to see this physiatrist who deals with physical pain. So I went to see the physiatrist. He said, "I want you to consider researching something. It's called LDN." I said, "I know all about LDN and I want to try it." So that's what happened. And that was, almost a year ago.
Mhm. So what dose did you start on?
0.5, I believe.
Mhm.
0.5. Yeah.
And how did you find that?
It helped me. What I found is for the first 2 weeks, I had pretty bad side effects, um, terrible constipation and nausea. Those were my side effects. 2 weeks went away. And I thought, if I'm having these side effects, that means that something's going on. So
Mhm.
that gave me hope to stay with it. And almost 2 weeks to the day, it went away. And I started realizing, oh, my pain isn't as severe. So fast forward about, well, at some point, then we raised the dose to, I think, 1.5. And I was on 1.5 for about 7 months. And I was doing pretty well. And a very strange thing happened. My husband who doesn't usually get sick. And when he gets sick, he gets sick and he gets over it. I never got over it. And my sickness would last forever. I always thought I had a virus. Um, he got sick in that period within the last, say, 9 months, 3 times, really sick, like fever, coughing, runny nose, and I haven't been sick. And I thought, gosh, my vitamin C is really working. And then I started reading more about the LDN, and I saw people talking about how it can reset your immune system. And I said, oh my God, it reset my immune system. I haven't been sick once, or felt like I'm getting sick. And I always either felt sick or like I'm getting sick my whole life.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Hmm.
So some minor relief with the pain, well, more than minor, because I did go off it for 11 days. I was without the LDN once of a glitch. It was a prescribing glitch and the pharmacy screwed up. Um, and oh boy, I thought, oh no, it's helping more than a little. I had so much pain and I was very depressed because of course the pain is back and I didn't have the boost from the LDN. And I was like, oh, it's terrible. I didn't get sick. I was worried about that. I didn't. And then when I went back on the LDN, I was like a little hypomanic. It was, oh my God, this is great. And then it sort of leveled out. Um, and I just feel good.
Hmm.
I feel good. And since then, I would say maybe 3 months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago, I was raised to 3 milligrams. And I feel pretty good there.
Hmm. And when it's very unusual for people to get side effects on 0.5. So you were quite
Yeah.
unlucky in that respect. But did it affect you when you increased the dose every time, or was your body used to it?
I think no, it didn't affect me. And I asked my doctor, am I going to have side effects again? He said no. And he was right. I didn't.
Hmm. That's good. What about, did it disturb your sleep at all?
I, no, no, the dreams that people talk about, I tend to have lots of dreams anyway. So I think maybe I had 1 or 2 vivid dreams, but not really.
Hmm. And are you taking it in the morning or at night?
I take it at night now.
Mm-hmm.
I did a trial just because I thought, well, let's try it. So for about maybe a month, I was taking it in the morning, and I discovered that I was feeling, after couple weeks, I thought at night I'd feel like really shaky. And it was a bad feeling. So, and it took me a while to figure out maybe it's the LDN. And so I went back to taking it at night and I haven't experienced it. So I would take it in the morning and feel shaky around dinner time.
Mm-hmm. And you've had none of the problems with your skin like you used to have or anything?
That's not true. I, from time to time, will get a little on my forearms, a little bump here or there, that's unexplained, but not like before.
Mm-hmm. And are you able to do more?
Oh yeah. I have so much more energy. Because, well, I'm not in pain and I have a little boost, I think, from the LDN, which I needed. I still get tired. I have to lay down. Usually once during the day, I'll lay down for 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes I do fall asleep. But that's okay. I'm 66 years old. I think most people my age should be doing that.
Yes. So what would you say to other people who are experiencing the pain that you had?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's definitely worth a try. Um, I haven't heard any negative anything about trying LDN. I mean, I do read that's how we found each other. I try to keep up to on social media about LDN. I've also read some articles on LDN, and I haven't read anything that indicates any negative side effects or feedback other than like in the beginning going on a medication. So I would say try it and pay attention because for a long time I was on it. It didn't occur to me that my general health was also better until I read that it can reset your immune system.
Not for everybody. It works amazingly for me, but I still catch everything.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So for you, it helps with pain?
It helps with most things, but protecting me isn't one of them. But I'm probably the odd one out. So many people, it works really well for. But anyway, I'm really pleased. And I'm pleased that you're doing so well.
Thank you.
And long may that last.
Yes. Yeah, and I read about people taking a holiday from the medication. I tried that. Well, I was without it for 11 days by accident. That was not good. But I've tried skipping a dose here and there, and it doesn't seem to
Mm.
it certainly doesn't hurt if I skip a day. Um, and people say it can help you reset. I don't know. He thought, really? That's news to me. The other thing that I think has also may have happened is my post-menopause symptoms. I think they've gotten better.
That's good. Well, we've come to the end, Pamela, and thank you so much for having shared your experience with us today.
My
Very
pleasure.
inspirational.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And thank you, Linda.
Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.